Businesswoman loses everything and finds happiness with street vendor Livia Hargrove sat in the sleek, glass-walled conference room of her Manhattan office, her heart pounding in her chest. The sunlight streamed in, illuminating the polished surface of the table and casting long shadows. She had built her tech startup from the ground up, pouring her life savings and relentless passion into it. Now, she stared at her business partner, Nathan, as he delivered the news that would shatter her world. "Livia, I'm sorry," Nathan said, his voice steady but lacking any real empathy. "I've decided to take the investments we secured and redirect them. There's a new direction I want to pursue, one that doesn't include you." "What do you mean, redirect?" Livia's voice trembled slightly, her mind racing. "These investments were meant for our project." "You can't just dash." "I can," Nathan interrupted, a smirk creeping onto his lips. "I've already signed the contracts. It's all legal. You should have seen this coming, really. You were too focused on the tech to notice what was happening in the boardroom." Livia's heart sank. The betrayal hit her like a physical blow. She had trusted Nathan, confiding in him about her dreams and aspirations for the company. Now, he stood before her, a man who had taken everything she had worked for, leaving her with nothing but the hollow echo of lost ambition. "I can't believe you do this," she whispered, trying to maintain her composure. "We built this together. I thought we were a team." Nathan shrugged, a casual dismissal of her pain. "Business is business. You'll be fine. You're talented. You'll land on your feet." With that, he turned and walked out, leaving Livia alone in the cold, sterile room. Tears pricked at her eyes, but she blinked them away, angry at herself for showing weakness. She had given everything to this dream, and now it lay in ruins at her feet. Weeks passed in a blur of despair. Livia found herself packing up her office, the walls once adorned with accolades and visions of success now stripped bare. Each box she filled felt like a piece of her identity being discarded. She had lost not only her company but her sense of purpose. The city that had once been her playground now felt like a prison, its towering buildings looming over her like judgmental giants. When she finally sold her apartment, the last remnant of her former life, she moved to a small, run-down apartment in a modest neighborhood. The change was jarring, the air thick with the scent of street food and the sounds of children playing outside. Livia felt like a ghost in her own life, drifting through the days without direction. One afternoon, desperate for something to eat and too proud to cook in her cramped kitchen, she ventured outside. The sun was shining, but it felt distant, as if it were mocking her with its warmth. As she walked down the street, her stomach growled, reminding her of her need for sustenance. That's when she spotted a hot dog cart on the corner. The cart was bright yellow, and the vendor standing behind it, a man with a warm smile and a baseball cap, seemed to radiate joy. He chatted with his customers, his laughter ringing out above the noise of the city. Livia felt an unexpected pull toward him, as if his happiness was a beacon in her dark days. "Hey there. You look like you could use a hot dog," he called out, his eyes twinkling. Livia hesitated, her pride battling her hunger. Sure. I'll take one," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Coming right up." He expertly grilled a hot dog, the sizzle of the meat filling the air with a mouth-watering aroma. "You want the works or just plain?" "Just plain, please," she said, feeling the weight of her situation settle on her shoulders. "Plain it is." He handed her the hot dog, wrapping it in a paper towel with a flourish. "That'll be $3. Livia fished out the crumpled bills from her pocket and handed them to him. "Thanks," she said, her voice lacking enthusiasm. "Name's Max, by the way," he said, offering his hand with a bright smile. "And you are?" "Livia," she replied, shaking his hand. The warmth of his grip surprised her, and for a moment, she felt a flicker of connection. "Nice to meet you, Livia. You know, I always say, a good hot dog can change your day." "How's yours going?" he asked, leaning against the cart, genuinely interested. Livia felt a strange urge to confide in him. "It's not great. I just lost my job and moved. It's all a bit overwhelming." She bit into the hot dog, the taste reminding her of simpler times, of a childhood filled with carefree summers. Max nodded, his expression turning serious. "I get it. Life can throw some tough punches. But you know what? You're still here, and that's what matters. Every day is a new opportunity." She looked at him, surprised at his perspective. "You really believe that?" "Absolutely. I mean, look at me. I sell hot dogs, and I'm happier than I was working in a corporate job. It's all about the connections we make, you know." He gestured to the people around, chatting and laughing as they enjoyed their meals. "These folks, everyone here, they're my community. And that's priceless." Livia felt a warmth spread through her chest, an unfamiliar sensation in the wake of her despair. "You have a good outlook on life." "Thanks. I try. It's not always easy, but I've learned to find joy in the little things," Max said with a grin, turning his attention to a group of children who had approached the cart, their eyes wide with excitement. Watching him interact with the kids, Livia felt a shift within her. The way he made each person feel special, how he poured his heart into every interaction, was something she hadn't experienced in a long time. It reminded her of why she had loved her work, connecting with others, building something meaningful. "Do you want to join me for a little while?" Max asked, noticing her lingering. "I could use some company, and you seem like you could use a friend." Livia hesitated but felt a stirring of hope. "Sure, why not?" She took a seat on a nearby bench, her hot dog in hand, watching as Max served more customers, his laughter echoing in the air. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the city, Livia realized she hadn't smiled in weeks. Maybe, just maybe, she had stumbled upon something worth exploring: friendship, community, a way to reclaim her happiness. And for the first time in a long while, she felt a glimmer of possibility. Livia Hargrove had found herself returning to the same corner of the bustling New York street day after day, drawn inexplicably to the small hot dog cart manned by Max. It was a stark contrast to her former life, where gourmet meals were prepared by top chefs in lavish restaurants. Here, in this modest setting, she found something refreshing and genuine. One afternoon, as she approached the cart, she noticed Max deftly assembling hot dogs with a flair that made them look almost gourmet. He greeted her with a warm smile, his eyes sparkling with kindness. "Hey there. You're back for more?" he asked, his hands moving quickly as he placed a steaming hot dog in a bun. "I can't resist," Livia replied, a small smile breaking through her otherwise somber demeanor. "It's the only thing that feels normal anymore." Max chuckled, handing her the hot dog, topped with a generous amount of mustard and relish. "Normal is overrated. Sometimes, the best things come from the unexpected. How's your day going?" "Just the same. Trying to figure things out," Livia said, taking a bite, savoring the simple pleasure it brought. The taste transported her back to her childhood, where simple joys meant everything. As she chewed thoughtfully, Max leaned against the cart, his expression shifting to one of genuine curiosity. "You seem a bit lost, if you don't mind me saying. You can talk to me, you know. I've got all the time in the world." Livia looked at him, surprised by his openness. She had spent weeks bottling up her emotions, afraid of being judged or misunderstood. But something about Max's demeanor made her feel safe. "It's just. Life has changed so much for me," she admitted, her voice a whisper. "I lost everything: my company, my home, my identity." Max nodded, his eyes softening with empathy. "I get that. Life can hit hard sometimes. But you know what? It's not the end. It's a chance to start over." He paused, taking a moment to wipe down the cart. "What do you miss the most?" Livia sighed, her shoulders relaxing as she spoke. I missed the thrill of building something. The excitement of creating, of being part of something bigger. But now. Her voice trailed off as she looked around, the bustling street filled with noise and life, yet she felt isolated in her thoughts. Why don't you take that energy and put it into something new? Max suggested, his enthusiasm infectious. You could help me with my hot dog cart. We could come up with new recipes, make it more than just a cart. What do you think? Livia raised an eyebrow, intrigued by the idea. You really think I could help with that? I mean, I don't know the first thing about food trucks. Neither did I when I started, he chuckled, leaning closer, his eyes twinkling with mischief. I just knew I loved cooking and making people smile. That's all it takes. You have the passion, I can see it in you. She hesitated. Was she ready to dive into something so different from her past? But as she looked into Max's encouraging eyes, she felt an ember of excitement rekindling within her, a feeling she had long thought lost. Okay, let's do it. I'll help you. But we need to make it fun. Max grinned widely, the kind of smile that lit up his entire face. Fun is my middle name. Let's start with the basics. What do you think about a new hot dog with a twist? As they brainstormed, the two spent hours laughing and experimenting with different toppings. They tried everything from jalapenos and pineapple salsa to gourmet aioli and crunchy onion straws. Each combination sparked more laughter and joy, igniting a connection between them that felt both surprising and familiar. One day, as they were prepping for the lunch rush, Livia watched as Max interacted with a young boy who approached the cart with his mother. The child's eyes lit up as he pointed at the hot dogs, and Max, in an instant, transformed into a magician, expertly squirting ketchup in the shape of a heart over the bun. Look, buddy, if you can make me laugh, you get a free hot dog. Max declared, crouching down to the boy's level. The child giggled, his laughter ringing through the air, and Livia felt a warmth spread in her chest. Max's ability to connect with people was captivating, and she admired how he brought joy to those around him. That was amazing, Livia said when the boy and his mother left, still smiling from their interaction. You really have a gift for making people happy. Max shrugged, a shy smile creeping onto his face. It's not just about selling hot dogs. It's about the experience, you know. If I can make someone's day a little brighter, then I've done my job. Livia nodded, contemplating his words. You're right. I've lost sight of that. I used to think success was about numbers and profits. But maybe it's more about the impact we have on others. Exactly. Max exclaimed, his enthusiasm infectious. Let's create something that not only tastes good but also brings people together. What if we host a community tasting event? We could invite everyone from the neighborhood to try our new creations. Livia's heart raced at the thought. It was a brilliant idea. That could really bring people together. We could even have games for the kids, music. Make it a real celebration. With renewed energy, they began planning the event. Livia felt hope blossoming within her like a flower breaking through concrete. As the date approached, she found herself excited not just about the food but about the potential to connect with the community. But amidst the thrill of their plans, Livia also recognized the weight of her own past. She had been so focused on her career and success that she had forgotten how to simply enjoy life. Max had opened her eyes to the importance of connection and joy, and she was determined to embrace it fully. The day of the tasting arrived, and the atmosphere was electric. The air was filled with the enticing aroma of grilled hot dogs, and laughter echoed through the street as families gathered around. Livia stood behind the cart, her heart swelling with pride as she watched Max engage with their customers, his warmth radiating around him. Are you ready for this? Max asked, beaming at her as they prepared for the first wave of customers. More than ever, she replied, her voice steady. Let's show them what we've created together. As the first guests approached, Livia knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in her life. She had found a purpose beyond profit. With Max by her side, she was ready to embrace whatever came next. They were not just selling hot dogs, they were building a community, one smile at a time. Livia stood behind the hot dog cart, a renewed sense of purpose flickering in her eyes as she sliced fresh vegetables and prepared toppings for the new recipes they had been experimenting with. The vibrant sounds of the bustling street filled the air, but for Livia, everything seemed to quiet down whenever she was with Max. He was a beacon of positivity, and she found solace in their growing friendship amidst her personal struggles. "Hey, Livia," Max called out, his voice cheerful as he expertly flipped a sausage on the grill. "What do you think about adding jalapenos to the menu? I think they could spice things up a bit." Livia looked up, a smile breaking across her face. "I love that idea. A spicy hot dog could really attract the adventurous eaters around here. Plus, we could offer a build-your-own option. People love customizing their food." Max chuckled, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "You really are something, you know that? I've never met anyone who gets as excited about hot dogs as you do. Hey, don't underestimate the power of a good hot dog." Livia shot back playfully, tossing a slice of onion into the air and catching it with a deft hand. There's a whole world of flavors waiting to be discovered. As they worked side by side, the camaraderie between them deepened. Max shared stories of his childhood, recounting how he and his siblings would experiment with different toppings at their family barbecues. "We had this tradition where we would see who could make the weirdest combination. One time, I mixed pickles and peanut butter. It was interesting," he admitted, wrinkling his nose in remembrance. Livia laughed, imagining the scene. "That sounds like a culinary nightmare. But it's great that you have those memories. It must have been fun growing up with a big family." Max nodded, his expression turning more serious. "Yeah, it was. My mom taught us to be creative in the kitchen. Cooking was more than just making food, it was about bringing people together. I lost that for a while after." He hesitated, the weight of his past pressing down on him. Livia sensed his struggle and offered him a gentle smile. "After your family member passed away, right? It's okay to feel that loss. But you know, you can still honor that part of your life by pursuing your dreams. You have such a gift, Max." He looked at her, vulnerability shining through his eyes. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm good enough to even try. What if I fail again?" "Failure is just a stepping stone," Livia replied firmly, her own experiences flooding back to her. "I've stumbled more times than I can count, but each time I learned something valuable. You can't let fear hold you back. You're a talented chef, and you deserve to chase your dreams." Max's expression softened, and he took a moment to absorb her words. "You really believe that?" "I do," she affirmed, her voice steady. "If we work together, I know we can make something incredible. You have the passion, and I have the business sense. We can create a restaurant that reflects who you are." A spark ignited in Max's eyes as he considered her proposition. "A restaurant. I've always dreamed of that, but I never thought it could actually happen." "You really think we can make it work?" "Absolutely. Let's organize a tasting event. We can invite the neighbors, get feedback, and build a community around it. It'll give people a taste of what we could offer," Livia suggested, her excitement contagious. Max's smile widened, and he nodded enthusiastically. "That sounds amazing. I can't wait to see everyone's reactions to our food." As they continued to brainstorm, ideas flowed freely, mixing with laughter and the sizzling sounds of the grill. They started to craft a menu that combined classic hot dog recipes with innovative twists, each item reflecting not only Max's culinary skills but also their shared vision of community and connection. Days turned into weeks as they poured their hearts into their project. Livia felt a sense of purpose that she hadn't experienced in years, and she marveled at the healing power of their newfound friendship. One sunny afternoon, as they set up for the tasting event, Livia glanced at Max, who was adjusting the condiments on the cart. "Max, I just want you to know how much this means to me," she said, her voice sincere. "I came here feeling lost, but you've helped me find my way again." He turned to her, his expression serious. "I feel the same, Livia. You've shown me that it's okay to dream again. I can't thank you enough for that." As the event began, the scent of grilling sausages filled the air, mingling with laughter and chatter from the gathering crowd. Neighbors and friends lined up to sample the new creations, and Max shone as he served each customer with genuine warmth. "Try this one. It's our spicy jalapeno dog," he exclaimed, handing a plate to a young couple. They took a bite, their eyes lighting up with delight. "This is incredible," the woman exclaimed, taking another generous bite. "You should definitely open a restaurant." Livia watched with pride as Max interacted with the guests, his passion evident in every exchange. It was clear that he was in his element, and the joy radiating from him was infectious. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the event, Livia and Max stood back, taking in the scene. The turnout had exceeded their expectations, and the atmosphere was filled with excitement and camaraderie. "I can't believe how well this turned out," Livia said, her voice filled with awe. "We did it." Max grinned, a mix of disbelief and joy in his eyes. "This is just the beginning, Livia. I want to create something that lasts, something that brings people together." "I know you will," she replied, her heart swelling with admiration. "You have a gift, Max, don't ever doubt that." As the last customers filtered out, Max turned to her, his expression serious once more. "I couldn't have done it without you. You've been my rock through this whole process." Livia felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words, and she knew that their connection had grown beyond mere friendship. They had forged a partnership built on trust, support, and a shared dream. "Let's keep pushing forward, Max," she said, her resolve firm. "We'll make that restaurant a reality. Together." With a newfound sense of purpose, they stood side by side, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their dream of creating something beautiful together. Livia walked into the community center, her heart racing with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The room was buzzing with women chatting and sharing their stories, their laughter filling the air with warmth. She had never imagined that she would find herself in a place like this, surrounded by women who had faced hardships similar to hers. "Welcome. I'm glad you could make it," a cheerful voice interrupted her thoughts. Livia turned to find a woman in her 40s with bright eyes and a welcoming smile. "I'm Angela. I facilitate this support group for female entrepreneurs." "You must be Livia." "Yeah, that's me," Livia replied, a bit shyly. I thought it would be good to meet others who understand what I've been through." Angela nodded, her expression empathetic. "You're in the right place. We all have our battles, but together we can support each other. Let's start by sharing a bit about ourselves." As the group formed a circle, Livia listened intently to the stories unfolding around her. One woman, a former boutique owner named Sarah, spoke about her struggles after her store went bankrupt due to a sudden economic downturn. Another, Maria, shared how she had lost her tech startup to a larger competitor and had to rebuild her life from scratch. Each story resonated with Livia, tugging at her heartstrings. "I never thought I'd be here," Sarah said, wiping a tear from her cheek. "But I realized I'm not alone. We're stronger together, right?" "Absolutely," Maria chimed in, her voice steady. "We're here to lift each other up. It's not just about business, it's about healing." When it was Livia's turn, she took a deep breath, her palms slightly sweaty. "I lost my startup to a betrayal from my business partner," she started, her voice shaking slightly. "I was at the top of my game, and then everything collapsed. I ended up moving to a new neighborhood, feeling completely lost. The group listened intently, nodding in understanding. "It's tough to rebuild after such a blow," Angela said softly. "But you're taking the right steps by being here." As the session continued, Livia felt a sense of camaraderie grow among the women. They shared tips, resources, and encouragement, each story a thread weaving them closer together. By the end of the meeting, she felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted off her shoulders. She left with a newfound sense of hope, ready to tackle her challenges with the support of her new friends. Meanwhile, Max was grappling with his own feelings of inadequacy. He stood at his hot dog cart, flipping sausages and serving customers, but his mind was elsewhere. Livia's enthusiasm had ignited a spark in him, yet he couldn't shake off the doubts that clouded his vision. What if he wasn't good enough? What if pursuing his dream only led to more heartache? One afternoon, Livia approached the cart, noticing the furrow in Max's brow. "Hey, Max. You seem a bit off today. Everything okay?" Max forced a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Just thinking, you know. About the future and all that." Livia leaned against the cart, her expression serious. "You've got to believe in yourself. You have a gift, Max. I've seen how people light up when they come to your cart. You make them feel special." "Thanks, Livia. I appreciate that," he replied, but his tone was still hesitant. "It's just. After losing my family, I feel like I can't take risks anymore. What if I fail again?" "You won't fail if you follow your passion," Livia insisted, her eyes shining with conviction. "We can do this together. I'm here for you, just like you've been there for me." Max looked at her, feeling a warmth spread through him. Her faith in him was like a lifeline. "You really think so?" "I know so," she said, her voice firm. "Let's not just dream about it. Let's make it happen. You deserve to chase your dreams, Max." With each passing day, their bond deepened as they worked together on new recipes and ideas for the hot dog cart. Livia introduced creative toppings and unique flavors, and they experimented with the menu, blending traditional elements with modern twists. Laughter filled the air as they cooked. Side by side, each dish bringing them closer together. One evening, as they cleaned up after a busy day, Max turned to Livia. "You know, I've always wanted to be a chef. I used to dream about opening my own restaurant one day. But life. It got in the way." Livia paused, her heart aching for him. "You can still pursue that dream, Max. It's never too late to follow your passion." Max sighed, a mixture of hope and doubt in his eyes. "But what if it doesn't work out? What if I'm not good enough?" "Everyone has doubts," Livia said, her expression earnest. "But you have to believe in yourself. You've got the talent, and we can figure this out together. I'll help you. We can create a restaurant that reflects who you are." He looked at her, his heart swelling with gratitude. "You really mean it?" "Of course I do. We can start small, maybe a pop-up restaurant or a tasting event. It'll be a great way to test the waters and see how people respond to your food," she suggested, her enthusiasm contagious. And so they began planning. They decided to host a tasting event in the neighborhood, inviting their friends and neighbors to sample their new creations. As the day of the event approached, excitement buzzed in the air. They decorated the cart, prepared special menus, and invited everyone they knew. On the day of the event, the sun shone brightly, and people gathered around the cart, eager to try Max's innovative dishes. Livia stood beside him, her heart racing with anticipation. As they served the food, the joy and laughter of the community enveloped them like a warm embrace. "Max, this is amazing," a neighbor exclaimed after taking a bite of one of his hot dogs topped with a zesty mango salsa. "You should do this more often." Livia beamed with pride as she watched Max's face light up with every positive comment. The event was a resounding success, and together they celebrated the joy of their shared accomplishments. "Thank you, Livia," Max said later that evening, as they cleaned up after the event. I couldn't have done this without you. You really believed in me. And I always will, she replied, her heart full. They stood together, the sun setting in the distance, casting a golden glow over the neighborhood. In that moment, they both knew that this was just the beginning of something truly special, an adventure that would not only reshape their futures but also strengthen the bond they had forged against all odds. Livia sat at the small wooden table in the corner of the hot dog cart, the sun casting long shadows across the pavement of the bustling New York street. Max was preparing the ingredients for the day's specials. The air was filled with the smell of grilled sausages and the faint aroma of onions sautéing on the side. Livia's mind, however, was elsewhere, tangled in a web of thoughts about the recent opportunity that had landed in her lap. Hey, Livia, you alright? You seem a million miles away, Max said, glancing up from the grill. He wiped his hands on a towel, his brow furrowed with concern. Livia forced a smile, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Yeah, just thinking about the future, she replied, her voice wavering slightly. Max turned off the grill and leaned against the cart, crossing his arms. You know, you can talk to me about anything. What's on your mind? Taking a deep breath, Livia looked at him. I got a call from an investor yesterday. He wants to help me get back on my feet, but there's a catch. Max raised an eyebrow. What kind of catch? He wants to invest in my ideas, but he insists that you keep the cart traditional. No changes, no new recipes. Just the same old hot dogs we've been selling. Max's expression shifted from concern to disappointment. That sounds restrictive. You've been pouring your heart into this, Livia. Why would you want to go back to what you were doing before? I thought this was about creating something new together. Livia sighed, running a hand through her hair. I know, and it's not what I want. But this is a golden opportunity. If I take it, I could secure our future, your future. We could expand, maybe even open more locations. But at what cost? Max replied, his voice firm. If we lose the essence of what we're building, is it really worth it? I mean, look at what we've created here. People love this place because of what it stands for, our connection to the community, our creativity. I don't want to lose that. Livia felt a pang in her chest. She knew he was right, but the fear of failure gnawed at her. I just don't want to end up back where I started, alone and struggling. It's terrifying to think about that. Max stepped closer, his expression softening. You're not alone, Livia. You've got me. We can build this together, without any investors telling us what to do. We just need to believe in ourselves and in this dream. Sometimes I wonder if that's enough, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. What if I'm just chasing a fantasy? What if it all falls apart again? Max reached out and took her hands in his, grounding her in the moment. Every dream comes with risks. But you've already shown you can rise from the ashes. This is different. We have each other. We're not just business partners, we're friends. You're not going to lose me, no matter what happens. Livia looked into Max's eyes, searching for reassurance. He had always been her anchor, the steady presence in her chaotic life. You really believe in this, don't you? She asked. I do, he replied with conviction. I believe in us. And I know we can create something beautiful together. If you decide to go back to the corporate world, I'll support you, but I don't want that for you. I want you to be happy, and I want us to succeed together on our terms. Torn between the safety of the investment and the thrill of their shared dream, Livia felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. What if you get an offer from someone else? What if the cart gets sold, and I'm left with nothing again? Then we'll figure it out together, Max said, squeezing her hands. We're a team, remember? You're not going to lose me over this. Livia nodded slowly, her heart racing as she considered the implications of his words. But what if I say no to the investor, and things don't work out? What if we fail? Max shook his head. Failure is part of the journey. You've faced it before and come out stronger. We'll learn from it, and we'll adapt. But we can't let fear dictate our choices. With a deep breath, Livia began to feel a flicker of resolve. You're right. I can't let fear control my life anymore. But I need to know we're on the same page. If I turn down the investor, we're committing to this path fully. Are you in? Max's eyes lit up, a wide smile breaking across his face. Absolutely. I want to be a chef, Livia. That's my dream. Let's make it happen. Together. Livia smiled back, the tension lifting as hope began to replace her doubts. Okay, then we'll figure out how to make this work. No more compromises. Just us and our vision. As they stood together, hands still intertwined, Livia felt a sense of clarity she hadn't experienced in weeks. The decision ahead was daunting, but it was also liberating. She didn't need to return to the world that had betrayed her. Instead, she could forge a new path with Max by her side. Max chuckled as he released her hands. Now, let's get back to work. We have a restaurant to plan and a community to feed. Livia laughed, the sound filling the air around them. Right. And let's make it a place where everyone feels at home, just like you've made this cart feel. The rest of the day passed in a blur of laughter and creativity as they began sketching out ideas for their future restaurant. They discussed potential names, menu items, and the kind of atmosphere they wanted to create. Every moment spent brainstorming felt like a step toward a brighter future, one where they could truly express themselves. As sunlight began to fade, casting a golden hue over the city, Livia looked at Max and knew she had made the right choice. This journey would be theirs alone, and together, they would face whatever came next. Livia awoke in the dead of night, her mind racing with the remnants of a vivid nightmare. She had been back in her old life, surrounded by the sterile, gray walls of her former office, a place that had once radiated success and ambition. The hum of fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, but no one was there to share her triumphs. Instead, she was alone, drowning in paperwork and phone calls with people she could barely remember. The faces of her colleagues flickered in and out of view, their eyes glazed over with indifference. The laughter and camaraderie she had once cherished were replaced by an overwhelming sense of isolation. Livia bolted upright in bed, her heart pounding. The reality of her current situation hit her like a cold wave. She was no longer the powerful CEO of a thriving tech company, she was a woman trying to rebuild her life on the streets of New York. As dawn broke, Livia slipped out of her small apartment, the chill of the morning air enveloping her. She needed to clear her mind, to escape the haunting images of her past. The streets were still quiet as she walked, her feet leading her toward Central Park, a sanctuary amid the chaos of the city. The sun peeked through the trees, casting dappled shadows on the ground, and Livia felt a flicker of hope as she inhaled the fresh air. Livia took a deep breath, the crispness of the morning filling her lungs. She could hear the rustling of leaves overhead and the distant chirping of birds, sounds that reminded her that life continued, regardless of her struggles. She wandered deeper into the park, her thoughts spiraling. What did she truly want? Was it wealth and success, or was there something more? As she strolled along a winding path, she spotted a bench and settled down, welcoming the moment of solitude. Her mind drifted back to Max. He had become a lifeline for her, grounding her when everything felt uncertain. He had shown her the beauty of simple interactions, the joy of laughter shared over a hot dog cart. Livia dug her fingers into the cool metal of the bench, feeling the rough texture beneath her palms, anchoring herself to the present. Why do I keep thinking about the past? She muttered to herself, frustration lacing her voice. What do I really want? The question echoed in her mind, a puzzle she had yet to solve. Livia closed her eyes and recalled her conversations with Max, how he effortlessly connected with everyone around him. He had an innate ability to make people feel valued, a talent she had long forgotten in the cutthroat world of technology. She remembered the way he had smiled at the children, how he had turned mundane transactions into moments of joy. That was something she had lost amidst spreadsheets and board meetings. Maybe it's not about the money, she whispered, her voice trembling. Maybe it's about purpose. The thought ignited a small flame within her. She had spent years chasing success, but what had it brought her? Loneliness. Betrayal. A hollow victory that had cost her more than she could afford. After some time, she opened her eyes to the sun fully risen, illuminating the park in a warm glow. Livia felt a sense of clarity washing over her. She wasn't ready to return to her old life, nor did she want to. The corporate world had turned her into someone she barely recognized, someone who valued profit over people. She longed for something different, something meaningful. Rising from the bench, she began to walk again, her heart a little lighter. She thought of how she had felt when she was helping Max with his cart, brainstorming new ideas and laughing at their shared jokes. That's what I want, she realized. I want to create, to connect, to help. Rejuvenated. By her revelation, Livia made her way back to the hot dog cart, eager to share her newfound perspective with Max. She arrived just as he was setting up for the day, the aroma of grilled hot dogs wafting through the air. He looked up and greeted her with a warm smile. "Good morning, Livia. You look like you've just returned from a journey," Max said, his eyes sparkling with curiosity. She laughed softly, the sound a mixture of relief and excitement. "I guess I have. I went for a walk in the park to clear my head, and I realized something important." "Oh. What's that?" he asked, wiping his hands on his apron as he leaned against the cart, giving her his full attention. "I don't want to go back to that life, Max. The corporate world isn't for me anymore. I want to find a way to make a difference, to help others like you've helped me," she said, her voice steady but full of emotion. Max's expression softened, and he stepped closer, genuinely intrigued. "You mean it? What do you have in mind?" Taking a deep breath, Livia shared her thoughts, her ideas flowing freely. "What if we created something together? A platform that helps small entrepreneurs like us? We could share our experiences, our struggles, and help others find their way." Max listened intently, nodding as she spoke. "That sounds amazing, Livia. But how do we even start?" "I don't know yet," she admitted, a smile breaking across her face. "But I'm willing to figure it out with you. We could host workshops, offer mentorship programs, it could be a community initiative." His eyes lit up with enthusiasm. "I love it. It's like we'd be giving back to the community that's supported us. But we'll need to make it authentic, just like our hot dog cart." "Absolutely. It has to be true to who we are, and we can make it fun," Livia replied, feeling a surge of hope. They stood together, their dreams intertwining like the branches of the trees above them. "Let's do it then," Max said, determination shining in his eyes. Together. As they began to flesh out their ideas, Livia felt a sense of purpose enveloping her, a feeling she hadn't experienced in years. It was as if the pieces of her life were finally coming together, aligning in a way that felt right. She realized that this journey wasn't just about rebuilding her career, it was about rediscovering herself, embracing vulnerability, and forging connections that mattered. In that moment, surrounded by the bustling life of New York, Livia knew that she had found her path. She was ready to step into the future, not as the woman she once was, but as the person she was becoming. With Max by her side, she felt invincible, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Livia stood in front of the large glass windows of the cafe she and Max had turned into their makeshift office. The sun streamed in, casting a warm glow over the scattered papers and half-empty coffee cups. It had been a month since they'd first presented their ideas to the investor, and Livia felt a mixture of anxiety and anticipation. Her heart raced as she prepared for their next meeting. "Do you think he'll like the new ideas?" Livia asked, biting her lower lip as she glanced at Max, who was at the other end of the table, sketching out a new menu item. Max looked up from his notepad, his brow furrowed in thought. "I hope so, but I get the feeling he's pretty set on keeping the traditional hot dog theme," he replied, a hint of concern lacing his voice. Livia nodded, understanding the underlying tension they were both feeling. The struggle to balance innovation with tradition weighed heavily on them. They had worked tirelessly to develop a menu that combined Max's classic recipes with Livia's modern twists, but she feared it wouldn't be enough to impress the investor. Later that afternoon, they met the investor at a small conference room in a nearby office. The air was thick with anticipation as Livia and Max exchanged nervous glances. "Thank you both for coming," the investor said, adjusting his glasses as he settled into his chair. "I've had a chance to review your proposals, and I must say, I'm intrigued by the direction you're taking." Livia felt a flicker of hope. "We're really passionate about creating a menu that reflects both the traditional hot dog experience and some innovative flavors that can attract a wider audience," she explained, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. The investor nodded thoughtfully, his eyes darting over the documents in front of him. "Your ideas are ambitious, but I have to be honest. I believe the charm of a hot dog stand lies in its simplicity. I'd prefer you to keep the traditional menu at the forefront." Max stiffened slightly at the comment, but Livia jumped in. "We understand that, but we believe that adding a few unique options could create buzz and draw in more customers. It's about evolving while respecting the roots of what makes a hot dog cart special. I appreciate your passion, but I'm worried that too much change could alienate your core customers," the investor replied, leaning back in his chair. "I'm more inclined to invest if you commit to maintaining the traditional aspect of the business." As the conversation continued, Livia could sense Max's growing tension. She could see his hands clenching into fists, and she knew he was struggling to keep his composure. After a few more exchanges, the meeting ended with the investor's insistence that he needed time to think about their proposals. Once outside, Livia turned to Max, who was staring at the ground, his expression unreadable. "Max, what's wrong?" she asked, concern lacing her voice. I don't want to lose what we've built," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I feel like we're being pushed to conform to something that doesn't represent us." Livia felt her heart ache at his words. "I know. But we can't ignore the fact that this investment could really help us grow. We could reach more people and make a bigger impact." Max shook his head. "But at what cost? I don't want to sacrifice our vision for a quick buck. I've worked too hard to get to this point." Livia reached out, placing a hand on his shoulder. "I get it. I really do. But remember why we started this. We wanted to create something special together. We can find a way to do that without losing our essence." "I just feel so pressured," he admitted, running a hand through his hair. "What if this is my only chance? What if I mess it up?" "Max," Livia said firmly, her eyes locking with his. "You're not alone in this. We're a team, remember? We can figure this out together. We just need to stay true to ourselves and our vision." He sighed, his shoulders relaxing slightly as he absorbed her words. "You're right. I just hate feeling like we're at a crossroads. Let's take a step back and think about what we really want," Livia suggested. "We don't have to make a decision today. Let's give ourselves some time to reflect on our options." As they walked away from the cafe, a heavy silence hung between them. Livia couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom that lingered in her chest. The thought of losing the connection they had built and the dream they were working toward terrified her. A couple of days later, Livia was deep in thought as she prepared lunch at the food cart, the aroma of grilled hot dogs filling the air. She noticed Max interacting with customers, his smile brightening their day. At that moment, Livia felt a pang of sadness. She feared that the charm of their little cart might be lost forever if they took the investor's route. As Max approached, wiping his hands on his apron, He caught the look on Livia's face. "What's on your mind?" he asked, sensing her unease. "I can't shake the feeling that we might lose something important if we go along with the investor's plan," she confessed. "I'm afraid it will change not just our business, but us too. I don't want to lose you in the process." Max's expression softened, and he took a deep breath. "Livia, this isn't just about the business for me. It's about what we've created together. Our friendship, our dreams. I don't want to compromise that either." "Then let's figure this out," Livia said, her resolve strengthening. "Let's find a way to stand our ground without sacrificing our vision. We can create a restaurant that honors both the traditional and the innovative without losing ourselves." Max's eyes brightened at her words. "You really think we can?" "I know we can. We just have to trust ourselves and each other," Livia replied, her voice filled with determination. "If we're going to take this leap, let's do it on our terms." As they stood side by side at the cart, Livia felt a renewed sense of purpose. They might be facing external pressures, but together, they could carve out a future that reflected their shared values and dreams. But that night, as Livia lay in bed, the weight of their situation loomed large in her mind. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were teetering on the edge of a significant decision, one that could alter the trajectory of their lives forever. The specter of failure loomed, but so did the possibility of success that would come at a price. Meanwhile, her heart ached with the thought of losing Max, who had become more than just a business partner. He was her anchor, her confidant, her friend. In the stillness of the night, Livia made a silent promise to herself and to Max. She wouldn't let fear dictate their choices. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. And that was the most important thing of all. Livia sat at the small table inside the modest kitchen of her apartment, staring at a blank sheet of paper. The sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating the scattered notes and crumpled ideas that surrounded her. She had made a decision, a bold one, but now it felt daunting. With her heart racing in her chest, she picked up her pen and began to write down their business plan for Max's restaurant. Across town, Max was busy at his hot dog cart, flipping sausages and chatting with customers. The familiar rhythm of his day was comforting, but deep down, he felt a growing anxiety about the future. When Livia had shared her decision to reject the investor's offer, he had felt a rush of relief mixed with apprehension. They were on the brink of something amazing, yet the fear of the unknown loomed large. As Livia arrived at the cart later that afternoon, Max greeted her with a warm smile, though the shadows of doubt lingered in his eyes. "Hey, Livia. You look deep in thought. What's brewing in that brilliant mind of yours?" Livia chuckled softly, her nerves easing slightly. "Just working on our business plan. I want to ensure we have everything laid out before we approach anyone for funding. It's important to have a solid foundation." Max nodded, his brow furrowing slightly. "I get that. But are you sure about this? What if it doesn't work out? What if we fail?" Taking a deep breath, Livia placed her hand on Max's arm, seeking to reassure him. "We won't fail, Max. We have each other, and we've built something special here. If we stick to our values and our vision, we can make this work. Besides, I believe in us." He glanced at the bustling street, people passing by, some stopping to chat, others grabbing a hot dog. "It just feels overwhelming. I mean, we've never done anything like this before." "I know," she replied, her voice steady. "But we're not in this alone. We'll tackle it step by step, together." Max took a moment to absorb her words. "Okay, I trust you. Let's do this." His determination rekindled, he gestured toward the customers lining up. "So, what's the plan?" Livia laid out her ideas as they worked side by side at the cart. "First, we need to define our brand. What do we want to represent? Comfort food with a twist, maybe? We can incorporate local ingredients and offer some unique recipes. Max raised an eyebrow, intrigued. That sounds good. What about our specialties? Definitely hot dogs, but we could also add some gourmet sides, maybe loaded fries or a fresh salad. And we should showcase our cultural backgrounds in the menu. Your family recipes can shine here. Max's eyes lit up. My grandma's chili dog recipe. It was legendary in our neighborhood. He paused, his excitement deflating slightly. But can we really compete with the big names? What if this doesn't resonate? We will make it resonate, Max, Livia said, her conviction unwavering. We'll create an experience, not just a meal. Think about how you connect with your customers. That's our strength. As they brainstormed, the energy between them grew. Ideas flowed freely, laughter punctuating their discussions. They planned everything from the layout of the restaurant to potential marketing strategies. Livia's organizational skills complemented Max's creativity, and together they crafted a vision. Later that evening, after a long day, Livia had a surprise for Max. I ran into an old friend today, she said as they cleaned up the cart. He's been investing in startups for years and has a knack for finding promising businesses. I think he could help us. Max's expression shifted to skepticism. Wait, you mean someone from your old life? Won't it complicate things? I don't want to lose what we're building together. Livia took a deep breath, understanding his hesitation. I get that. But trust me, he's different. He's supportive and believes in helping small businesses thrive. He's not looking to take over, he wants to empower us. Max crossed his arms, his mind racing. I don't know, Livia. What if he tries to steer us in a direction we don't want to go? Then we stand our ground. We've learned the hard way that we have to fight for what we believe in. This time, we do it together. She leaned in closer, her eyes locked onto his. I promise you, I won't let anyone compromise our vision. Max sighed, contemplating her words. Okay, I'll meet him. But only if you're sure he's not just another corporate shark. Livia smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. I promise you, he's not. Let's give him a chance. We have a lot to gain. As they finalized their plans for the next day, Livia felt a surge of hope. The idea of a partnership with her friend, combined with the potential of their restaurant, filled her with excitement. She could already envision the vibrant atmosphere, the aroma of delicious food wafting through the air, and the laughter of satisfied customers. The next day, they met in a small cafe, where Livia's friend, Evan, awaited them. He was charming and enthusiastic, his eyes sparkling with passion. As they exchanged pleasantries, Livia felt a sense of warmth radiating from him. She introduced Max, and the two men shook hands. Livia has told me so much about you, Max, Evan said, his voice friendly. I'm really excited to hear more about your vision for the restaurant. Max hesitated, glancing at Livia. She nodded encouragingly, and he began to share their ideas. The conversation flowed, and Evan listened intently, occasionally jotting down notes. Your concept is fresh and unique, Evan remarked, leaning back in his chair. I love the idea of blending traditional recipes with modern twists. It's what people crave these days. Max's confidence began to grow. Thanks. We want to create something that feels like home but also surprises our customers. Exactly. And I can help you with that, Evan said, his enthusiasm infectious. I have connections that can get you the right suppliers for quality ingredients. Plus, I know some marketing strategies that could really elevate your brand. Livia watched as Max's eyes sparkled with excitement. They bounced ideas back and forth, and gradually, Max began to feel more at ease. Evan's support felt genuine, and Livia could sense her friend's apprehensions fading. As they wrapped up the meeting, Evan offered them a deal. I can help you secure some initial funding, but I want to make sure you both feel comfortable with the direction. Your vision is paramount. I won't interfere, I'm here to support. Thank you, Evan, Livia replied, her heart racing. We really appreciate that. Max nodded, still processing everything. We'll think it over. I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Of course. Take your time, Evan said with a smile. I'm excited about the potential here. After their meeting, Livia and Max walked through Central Park, the golden hues of sunset painting the sky. The air was filled with the laughter of families and the distant sounds of musicians. As they strolled, Livia turned to Max. What do you think? She asked, her heart pounding with anticipation. Max took a deep breath, his thoughts swirling. It's a lot to take in. I really like Evan, but I'm still worried about losing our identity. Livia placed her hand on his shoulder. We'll keep our identity. We're in control here. We make the decisions together, and we stick to what we believe in. Yeah, you're right, Max replied, a smile creeping onto his face. I just need to remember that this is our journey, not anyone else's. Exactly. Livia exclaimed, her excitement infectious. We are building something meaningful together. Let's embrace this opportunity and make it ours. With renewed determination, they walked on, the path ahead filled with possibilities. Together, they would navigate the challenges ahead, hand in hand, as they turned their dreams into reality. As the sun dipped low in the New York skyline, casting a golden hue over the bustling streets, the atmosphere around Max's new restaurant buzzed with excitement. The once humble hot dog cart had transformed into a charming eatery, a beacon of hope and resilience in their community. Livia stood outside, her heart racing as she adjusted the apron tied around her waist, her thoughts swirling with the memories of their journey, from the streets to this momentous occasion. Are you ready for this? Livia asked Max, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. She could see the nervousness flickering in his gaze, yet there was a fire burning behind it, a testament to his passion. Yeah, I think so. Max chuckled, running a hand through his hair. I mean, I've served hot dogs for years, but this feels different. It's like I'm finally stepping into the spotlight. Because you are. Look at what we've built together. Livia gestured towards the restaurant's brightly painted sign, Max's Kitchen, which hung proudly above the entrance. It's not just about the food, it's about the love and the stories we're sharing. Max nodded, taking a deep breath. You're right. I just hope the food lives up to the expectations. I want everyone to love it as much as we do. They will, Livia reassured him, her voice steady. And even if they don't, we'll keep improving. That's the beauty of this, we get to grow together. As the clock struck 6, the first guests began to arrive, drawn by the tantalizing aromas wafting from the kitchen. Livia and Max exchanged glances, their excitement palpable. They welcomed each patron with genuine warmth, Max's infectious smile putting everyone at ease. Welcome to Max's Kitchen. What can I get for you today? Max called out to a couple entering the restaurant. Do you have anything special? The woman asked, her eyes scanning the menu painted on the wall. Max beamed. Absolutely. Our signature dish is the Max Burger, topped with homemade garlic aioli and fresh avocado. And for dessert, we have our famous chocolate lava cake. I'll have the burger, please, she replied enthusiastically. Great choice. And for you? He turned to her partner. Same for me, he laughed. You've sold me. As they placed their orders, Livia moved to the kitchen, where she could hear the sizzle of the patties on the grill. She meticulously arranged the garnishes, her heart swelling with pride. This was their dream, and it was unfolding beautifully. Livia. Max called from the front. Can you come out here for a second? Livia wiped her hands on her apron and stepped into the dining area. Max stood beside a table where a group of regulars from the neighborhood had gathered, their faces glowing with excitement. Everyone, this is Livia, my partner in crime and the genius behind our recipes, Max announced, a playful grin on his face. Livia felt her cheeks heat up as the group clapped and cheered. "Thank you, everyone. It's been a labor of love, and we're thrilled to have you here to celebrate with us. Your hot dog cart changed my life," one of the regulars, an elderly man named Mr. Thompson, declared. "I've met more people waiting in line for your food than I have in years. This place is going to be even better." "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. That means the world to us," Livia replied, her heart swelling at the thought of how their journey had impacted not just their lives, but the lives of those around them. As the evening progressed, laughter and chatter filled the air. The restaurant buzzed with energy, and Livia and Max moved seamlessly between the kitchen and the dining area, serving dishes that were more than just food. They were expressions of their journey, their struggles, and their triumphs. "Max, can you take this out to table 5? Livia called out, handing him a plate of beautifully arranged dishes. "Sure thing," he replied, beaming as he took the plate and strode confidently towards the table. A few moments later, he returned, his eyes wide with excitement. "They loved it. They said it's the best burger they've ever had," he exclaimed, pumping his fist in the air. "See? I told you they would." Livia laughed, her heart racing with joy at seeing Max so enthusiastic. As the night wore on, they served countless customers, each one leaving with smiles and satisfied bellies. Livia couldn't help but glance at Max, who was in his element, chatting with customers and making them feel special. It was a side of him she had come to adore, the way he connected with people, bringing a sense of community to their small establishment. As the final customers of the night departed, the restaurant began to quiet down. Max and Livia exchanged satisfied glances, their hearts full. "We did it, Max. We really did it," Livia said, leaning against the counter, her smile radiating happiness. "Yeah, we did," Max replied, his face lighting up. "I can't believe how many people showed up. It's incredible." Livia stepped closer, their camaraderie palpable. "This is just the beginning. We have so much more to share with the world." "I know," Max said, his voice turning serious. "But I couldn't have done it without you. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." Livia's heart swelled at his words. "And you taught me what it means to live fully, to find joy in the little things. We make a great team." As they cleaned up the restaurant, a comfortable silence enveloped them, the air filled with the remnants of the day's laughter and joy. Livia caught herself stealing glances at Max, her heart racing as she realized how much he meant to her. "Hey, can I ask you something?" Max broke the silence, leaning against the counter, his expression serious. "Of course," Livia replied, concern etched on her face. "If we keep this up, what do you see for us in the future?" he asked, his eyes searching hers. Livia paused, contemplating his question. "I see us continuing to grow, both in the restaurant and as individuals. I want to help others like us, to show them that they can start over too. And I want to do it with you, by my side." Max smiled softly, his gaze unwavering. "I feel the same way. I want to make a difference, not just with food, but in people's lives. You inspire me, Livia." As the last of the dishes were washed and stored, Livia felt a warmth spreading through her. They had come so far, and their journey was just beginning. With Max by her side, she felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, knowing that together, they could create a lasting legacy of love, community, and hope. Livia sat on a small stool behind the counter of the newly opened restaurant, her fingers tracing the edge of a menu they had designed together. The aroma of freshly cooked food wafted through the air, blending with the bustling sounds of happy patrons. Livia looked around at the laughter and chatter, the community they had built around this place, and yet a heaviness lingered in her heart. Despite the success, she felt an inexplicable void within her. As the evening settled in and the last of the customers began to leave, Livia found herself alone for a moment, gazing out of the window. The colorful lights of the city twinkled in the distance, but her mind was elsewhere. It was then that she noticed a familiar envelope peeking out from under a stack of papers on the counter. It was from the investor who had once offered her a lifeline, the one she had turned down in favor of pursuing her dream. With Mac's curiosity piqued, Livia opened the envelope. Inside was a letter, elegantly written in familiar handwriting. As she read, her heart raced. The letter revealed that the investor was, in fact, her former mentor, Richard, who had guided her through the early days of her career. He had been watching her journey closely, hoping she would find her way back to her true passions. "Dear Livia," it began, "I've been following your journey and wanted to reach out. I know you may not have realized it at the time, but my offer was not just about money, it was about giving you a chance to reconnect with your purpose. I hoped you would learn to value what truly matters in life." Livia's eyes widened as she continued reading. "You've built something beautiful with Max. The love and connection you share with your community are invaluable. However, I sense that you still carry a burden from your past. I encourage you to embrace your experiences and use them to help others. There are many aspiring entrepreneurs out there who could benefit from your wisdom." Tears welled in Livia's eyes as she finished the letter. Richard's words struck a chord deep within her. She had spent so much time focusing on her past failures that she hadn't fully realized the impact she could have on others. The thought of creating a mentorship program for aspiring small business owners ignited a spark within her. Just then, Max entered the restaurant, wiping his hands on a kitchen towel. He noticed Livia's pensive expression. "Hey, what's going on?" he asked, concern etching his brow. Livia looked up, her heart racing. "Max, you won't believe this. I just received a letter from Richard. He's been watching us, and he believes we should start a mentorship program for small entrepreneurs. He thinks we can help others like we helped each other." Max's eyes widened in surprise. "Richard? The same one who wanted to invest in your tech startup? What does he want from us?" "He wants us to use our experiences to guide others. He believes in the power of community and connection, just like we do," Livia replied, her voice trembling with excitement. "Imagine helping others find their passion and navigate the challenges we faced. We could make a real difference." Max considered her words, his brow furrowing slightly. "It sounds amazing, Livia, but do we have the resources? We're still finding our feet with the restaurant. Can we really take on more?" Livia leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with determination. "Max, we've already accomplished so much together. We've built this place from scratch, created a menu that resonates with the community, and we've overcome so many obstacles. I believe we can do this. We can inspire others and help them avoid the pitfalls we encountered." A beat of silence passed as Max pondered her words. Finally, he sighed, "You're right. If we can help even one person find their way, it'll be worth it. But we'll need to figure out how to structure it. We can't just throw people into the deep end." Livia smiled, feeling a rush of hope. "Exactly. We can create workshops, mentorship sessions, and even collaborate with local schools. We can tell our stories and provide guidance. We can help them build their dreams just like we built ours." Max nodded slowly, a smile creeping across his face. "I love it. We'll make it official. We can start with our regulars and then expand to the community. I bet there are a lot of people who would want to learn from us." As they brainstormed ideas, the passion between them ignited once more. They sketched out plans for the program on napkins, using their experiences to shape the structure. Livia felt a sense of purpose wash over her, a feeling she hadn't had in a long time. Over the next few weeks, they worked tirelessly, promoting their mentorship program throughout the restaurant and on social media. They reached out to local schools, community centers, and even hosted an open house to attract aspiring entrepreneurs. Each day brought new faces and fresh stories. They shared their own journeys, the triumphs and the failures, and how they learned to find joy in the process, not just the end goal. One evening, after a particularly engaging session with a group of eager participants, Livia and Max sat on the restaurant's patio, watching the sunset wash over the city. "Livia, I can't believe how many people showed up tonight," Max said, his voice filled with awe. "It feels incredible to share our story and see others inspired by it." Livia smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I never imagined we could impact so many lives. It's like each story we share brings us closer to our own healing, too." Max turned to her, a serious expression crossing his face. "You know, I was hesitant at first. I thought maybe I should have taken that offer from the competitor. But seeing how we've connected with our community makes me realize that this is where I belong. We're doing something meaningful together." Livia placed her hand over his, feeling the warmth of their connection. "And it's only the beginning. We have so much more to do. Together, we can keep nurturing this community and empower others to chase their dreams." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the city, Livia felt a sense of completeness she hadn't experienced before. She had found her purpose, intertwined with Max's journey, and they were ready to face whatever the future held together. In that moment, she knew that the lessons from her past were not just burdens to bear but stepping stones to a brighter future. She had transformed her pain into a platform for others, and in doing so, she had discovered the power of connection, resilience, and love. As they embraced, Livia felt a sense of peace wash over her, ready to step boldly into the next chapter of their lives.